It is. It's both of our first times in Indonesia. We're so excited to be here. It's such a beautiful country and beautiful people.
I think it's a combination of everything. It's always so much fun for us to travel and to be a part of a different culture and see what what your architecture is like, what your food is like, how you just go about your daily lives, and your wonderful traffic, which is just amazing. We think that's fantastic. So we've had a really good time here so far.
I just think it's different because, when we were doing the show, they said, you're the biggest show in the world. And we're like, okay, like, you don't know what that means. But actually meeting people on the opposite side of where, we shot the show in America. So to be on the totally opposite side of the world, and everyone is screaming and they're happy, and there are little kids who are dressed like Power Rangers. It's just so beautiful that it's touched such a wide variety of people, and so many people love Power Rangers.
It's really amazing to think that something that we did 25 years ago still has impact, and it affects people in such a positive way. It's really kind of mind-boggling to think that, as Karen said, I mean, it goes all over the world, and it's just very humbling to be a part of it. We're very grateful to be able to travel all over the place.
It's just really cool that you can meet someone and they can't speak your language and you don't speak their language, and they're like, go, go, Power Rangers. They know how to say that. Like, that's amazing.
We'll actually be with a couple of them in November at Ranger Stop in Florida, yeah.
We were so blessed and so happy to meet them because we'd always heard about them. We saw their version of the show, and then we probably met like 3 or 4 years ago. And I did I do a blog called Uncensored Talk, and I got to interview them. And it was so amazing that they did their show, and it was kind of the same. They were young, it was their first job, and it was a huge hit in their country, and it was a surprise hit. And it was just so cool to kind of share stories. And even though we don't speak Japanese and they speak a little English, we became friends instantly, and we are friends on Facebook. We send each other messages, and they'll wish you happy birthday. It's just like we're really good friends, and when we see each other, we hug, and we just love hanging out with them. I thought it was hilarious. I think that when we met, we asked him that, and he was like, yeah, I'm a girl, and when I come to the U.S., I'm a girl, and we laughed and we joked about it, but I thought it was really good for the American version to have 2 girls, because Power Rangers is very popular with boys, but I thought it was so good to have girl power, and the girls and the boys play together. Like, a lot of parents tell us that their kids never play together, but when they become Power Rangers, they play very well together. You know what? I think the message of teamwork. I think there's always, in every episode, every single Power Ranger is a hero, and they only do well when they do it together. And I think that's a big message that the whole world needs. You only do well when you do it together. And I also like the fact that every cast is so diverse. There's every culture, every race, there's every kind of kid. And so every kid can watch Power Rangers, and at some point they can go, that's me, or that could be me. And I think that's a beautiful thing.
Especially like the new season that was just announced, Beast Morphers. I believe one of the characters is Indonesian, and his name is Ravi. So he's going to be part of the cast. So, I mean, again, the international appeal, being able to reach across borders, touch hearts and minds, and bring everybody into the human family. I think that's a big message of Power Rangers. We're all together, that's it.
I've watched it a little bit. I only watched like 1 episode, but I love the fact that, they all were a team and they all had to fight the bad guys. But I think it's 2 totally different shows. Like, the American version's very clean cut, very cheesy, and it's funny. And the Japanese series was actually very dark, and it was more for adults. It wasn't a kid's show. And so I found that to be very interesting. I always watch it and go, how did they think of that, and how did they make that version into that version? They're 2 totally different shows.
Yeah, I think Karen nailed it. I mean, the Zoo Ranger TV show can be a little dark. I mean, the Green Ranger doesn't turn out the way he does in the American version. I mean, he actually dies in the Sentai version. So Americans like a little bit more of a happy ending about things. So I think that's one of the major changes between the 2 of them. Yeah. between Saban and Hasbro? I'm not really sure because we're not a part of the business that goes behind it, but I think Hasbro has a pretty good reputation of doing some like big budget stuff, so maybe this time around the new movie or the new series will have better special effects, more interesting toys to work with, maybe even bigger and better than the last time.
They say they want to do a new movie, so I'm super excited because as long as it keeps going, that makes us happy. I think people just love Power Rangers, and I'm just happy that another company has come in and it's almost giving it the franchise new life. I don't know. You never know. I would love to do it. I think if the situation is right, both of us would be there with bells on. So you never know. They've asked us before in the past to come back to the television show to make an appearance, and it's never worked out. But you never know what the future might hold, right? Never say never. Wonder Woman. I loved Wonder Woman. I love She-Ra. I loved all the female characters, and it's so weird that I got to be a superhero, and it's like girl power, because even as a little kid, I wanted to be Wonder Woman.
I'm a big Captain America fan. So I just think, Cap is all about fairness. It's not necessarily about the American way or anything like that, but I think Cap is everything needs to be fair for this person, for that person, and for this person, and so that appeals to me. So yeah, I look up to Cap a lot. So yeah.
I love all the new superhero movies. Like every time one comes out, he and I are movie buddies. Like I'm like, where are you gonna be? We've got it. Like we saw the Avengers and we watched it 2 days in a row, and we were like, no, Infinity War, and it was like all like 5 Power Rangers. We all went together to watch it. I love Black Panther. Black Panther is like my favorite movie, my favorite character. I love everything about it. So I think it's so good. I love the fact that those casts are also very diverse, and the women and the men are equal and strong, and they are fighting for what's right. And it's kind of like what's happening in the world, everybody's fighting for what's right. Absolutely, and those are all things that are important, and I love the fact that little kids are seeing things like gender equality, and they're seeing even some of the political things that they mix into the movie. As a little kid growing up, I never had, we didn't have a superhero. And so to see Black Panther and to see someone that looked like me, and there was this wonderful place called Wakanda, and it was like everybody wanted to move to Wakanda, And I just think that's so cool because any other time you've thought of Africa, you've never thought of it as royalty and kingdom and power, and I just love that Marvel isn't afraid to, glorify all races, and I just love that.
I think Karen hit the nail on the head. I think that's exactly right. I mean, we love traveling around and seeing how everybody is so much more alike than they think they are, and that we're not all that different from one another, and we need to celebrate what brings us together, not what pulls us apart. So.
The thing I've loved about this trip is that, we aren't Muslim, but we found out that a large population of Indonesia is Muslim, and we went to the mosque, and we were like, that's been the most beautiful thing I've ever seen in my life, and it was so peaceful and so beautiful, and I just thought, wow, what a great place. Like, this is a beautiful country, beautiful people, but it makes so much sense. Like, everybody's so nice and friendly, and like you said, we've traveled the world, and every time we go somewhere, we just want to meet people and get to know them and get to know their culture, and we've had your amazing food, and we were like, there's some things we were like, and then some things we were like, I don't know about that, but we tried as much as we could, so it's been so great. We've had some really good, POPCON Asia has been very good hosts, and they literally have taken us everywhere and given us the true Indonesian experience, so I feel very blessed. I think it's because of the fans. Every person that we meet, they might have watched this show 25 years ago, but when we meet them, they become 7 years old again. And it's like your love for the Power Rangers has made us remember how great it was. And I always say the fans made me fall back in love with what I did so long ago. And You guys are the reason why we love it. You guys are the reason why I love Aisha, because I've heard so many stories on how people love the way she was positive and she was bubbly and she was sassy. And so I love the fact that you guys love the show so much.
I think it's basically because it's my head. That I was big and blue for a long time, so I've had people come up to me and say, you know, you're a big father figure to me because your big head was on my TV the whole time. So I think that's the reason why they associate with me all the time. It's just my head. We had the was it garamé? That was very flavorful. Yeah, we had that. Yeah. Yeah, the satay, chicken satay. Yeah. Very good. Very flavorful.